A very good morning to you, our viewers. Welcome to It. It is Wednesday. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. On the other chair, as usual, is Patrick Soko. When you see us, you know that it's about to go down. But we'll talk about a lot of issues happening in the country. We'll delve into some of the stories that made headlines as of yesterday to set the tone for today. We'll also look at the money markets, how the kwacha is faring. We'll look at the morning boost and also the health corner as usual. For now, though, let's go straight into the morning boost. Well, there you have it. That is the morning boost, helping you flex your muscles. You can join in every morning, or you can go to the gym straight and try to flex your muscles, Patrick.
Yeah, an advice that we
We
give
always
out
give.
every day.
We always give, and we will consistently continue to give it out so that you can be fit, at least start on a healthier note. Actually, I know someone who does road runs in the morning for like an hour 30 every day, and then that person says it makes you feel fresh after doing that. I don't even know the criteria, but doing Naka. Maybe because you're not consistent, that's why you get tired. But it's always important to be consistent. You can either jog for 20 minutes. You don't have to go for those long road runs, depending on your timings as well and your fitness levels. You can just go for maybe 20 minutes. Just make it routine. Make it every day, make it consistent so that the results begin to show. However, you can go to the gym physically, like I mentioned, or you can still follow us. We need feedback from you people. You can also just send us those text messages to see if at all these exercises that we are bringing to your screens are helping you in one way or the other. Let's go straight into the health corner.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya. So this week we are talking about tuberculosis, and we have highlighted what is tuberculosis, and we've said that tuberculosis is an infection that results from being infected by the bacteria, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And this infection can be transmitted from person to person through aerosols that are released in the air, and the other person inhales those aerosols that are infected, and so they end up having the infection as well. We also say that the risk factors include people who have HIV, people who have diabetes, people who are smokers, alcohol takers, and also people who abuse drugs. Then people who are also staying with somebody who has TB, especially if it's a multi-drug resistant TB, are also at risk of having this TB infection. So today I want to understand what are some of the signs and symptoms. How can you tell that you have diabetes or you are having tuberculosis, So what are some of the signs and symptoms of tuberculosis? So one of the signs is that people with tuberculosis will present with a cough. They might have a cough that is not going away, and sometimes it might even, usually it goes for about 2 or more weeks. So you might be having a cough for 2 or more weeks, and this cough might be associated with chest pain. They might also have fever as well, and they would usually have night sweats. So usually in the night they would sweat so much such that they would be very wet in the night. So if you find somebody who is sweating so much at night, they are coughing, they are having a fever, then you might be suspecting that they have TB. The other symptoms that are very common in people who have TB is that they would have weight loss. So they would present with weight loss where they are not, they're losing weight, and also they might have fatigue as well. So they will be feeling very tired and just generally not feeling too well. Then also, depending on which part of the body is affected, TB can present in so many other ways because it affects so many other parts of the body. So for example, if people who have meningitis or TB meningitis where it has affected the brain, they might present with a headache. So they might be having this headache that is not going away and it's just there for some time, and also have these other classic symptoms that we have talked about. They might also have seizures or a coma, confusion, because it's affecting their brain. Then also people who have tuberculosis that has affected their kidneys, they might present with issues to do with the urinary system. So they might be having pain when urinating, they might not be urinating well, they might be having pain in the back because the kidneys are located somewhere in the back. So they would have some kind of pain in the back, abdominal pain. So depending on which body is affected, which part is affected, again, the people would present differently. So if it's the skin, they would have skin lesions. So they would have some kind of skin lesions, whether they're just some nodules in the skin that can be seen and palpated. They might also have other lesions. If it's in the lymph nodes that are affected, they might have lesions in the lymph nodes that can be palpable and seen as well. So these are some of the symptoms that people with TB can present with. If TB has affected the spine or the back, they would have back pain. So they might have some kind of a back pain that is not going away. So these are some of the symptoms that you can look out for people with TB or people that will be suspecting to have TB. And if you suspect anyone to have TB, don't hesitate to take them to the hospital as soon as possible to seek treatment early and to be able to prevent other people from getting this condition or this infection as well. So today we're talking about the signs and symptoms of TB, and we say that some of the classic signs or the signs that really show that someone has TB is that they would have a cough, they would have they would be having a fever, they would have chest pain as well. And then also they might have night sweats, they would have weight loss because they might not be eating too well and just having a poor appetite. Then they might also experience other symptoms depending on the part of the body that is affected. So they would have urinary symptoms where they're having pain when urinating, abdominal pain. They might have back pain if it has affected the spine. They might have confusion, seizures, and even a headache if it has affected the brain or the meninges. So if you know anyone with TB, make sure you can take them to the hospital as quickly as possible. If you have missed any other episodes that we talk about here on the Health Corner, make sure you also watch my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Nakubena Mfaya. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel on YouTube. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on my Facebook page, which is Dr. Nakubena Mfaya. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again next time. Stay healthy and stay blessed.
Welcome back. Indeed, that is Dr. Nakubena Mfaya giving us the signs and symptoms of tuberculosis. Patrick, I think a week ago it was World TB Day, and the country joined the rest of the world in commemorating this very important day and creating awareness and sensitization surrounding this disease. And this week she has continued to talk about it because obviously she thinks it's very important that people get to know.
Yeah, indeed, TB is a deadly but manageable disease, and in Zambia it is equally common, and it is among those diseases that continue to claim many lives, and we hope that we continue to get abreast with how to the signs and symptoms of TB, just like Dr. Mfaya did explain. Like in case you missed this episode, you can still go back on our Facebook page and follow in case you want to know more about TB, the signs and symptoms on this edition. TB, you know, is also just like HIV, is a disease that is associated with stigma, and we see that there's sometimes people are discriminated and they would opt to stay quiet
about it.
But at the end of the day, it tends to affect the larger group of people,
exactly,
or the household. So at the end of the day, it is important that we understand that this condition is manageable. It's no longer like in the past when we had no cure. We have the cure for TB, and there is medication that is prescribed and the doctors will help us to understand how you as a person who's affected by this disease can stay healthy, as well as how you can protect your family members. And the family members, what sort of care they need to direct towards someone who's affected by this disease.
Exactly.
And these are issues that we need to continuously talk about, because they affect us in our various communities.
Indeed, Patrick, talking about stigma, I think it affects even the healing process of the patient, because they will not be comfortable to take their medication at a prescribed time, because probably at that particular time they are around people. So they'll decide to just keep it and wait when they are alone for them to take that medication. And that ends up disturbing the whole healing process, because they're not consistent with when they should take the medication. Even the eating pattern as well. When you're just starting, I think a conversation we had with one of the medical practitioners, that you need to eat healthy. You need somebody who is going to support you even when you don't have appetite, to force you to eat, so that you drink your medicine. Otherwise, it's a very strong drug, truth be told, because the bacteria is quite stubborn, and for it to just die, you need to take those medications for quite a period of time.
6 months.
Exactly,
sometimes.
but it's curable, like you mentioned. It's curable. It's something that is not as deadly as we think. As long as it's diagnosed early, you still have a bit of strength in you. You can walk. You can. It's even better that way.
I've had an opportunity to interact with more people in various communities, Sharon. I can tell you that the major stumbling block to managing TB in Zambia is also alcohol and substance abuse.
Exactly.
Because you'd find that most of the people would be on medication.
They want to drink alcohol.
They would want to drink alcohol, and in the process, you know, this alcohol, they put in these
small bottles.
Someone is infected, and they're transmitting the diseases amongst themselves, and you discover that when you go to the health center, they prescribe medication. You take the medicine for 3 months. You start feeling better. You're
back to the bars
and everything. So that process has also been an hindrance towards us as a country dealing with this disease.
Indeed, Patrick, let's look at how the kwacha is faring. It's been depreciating for the past 3-4 weeks, but the past 2 days it has tried to appreciate. Let's see how it is this morning.
So the greater British pound is buying at 24 kwacha 9.8 in Ngwe and selling at 25 kwacha 4.7 in Ngwe. $1 is buying at 20 kwacha 0.2 in Ngwe and selling at 20 kwacha 4.1 in Ngwe. The euro is buying at 21 kwacha 8.2 in Ngwe and selling at 22 kwacha 2.5 in Ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 12 in Ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 14 in Ngwe. Those are your money market as updated this morning. And as per financial institution which we monitor, it varies from one bureau to the other, or one bank to the other. In case you may be wondering, but I found it a little bit better.
I think you know, I've not done that the needful. I may be running at a loss. I may be running at a loss. I better do the needful. The kwacha has appreciated. It's 20 now. Either way, buying and selling is at 20, so it's okay. It's getting there. As a country, we appreciate, but at individual level, I don't appreciate it. So that is how our kwacha is faring this morning. Like Patrick had mentioned, remember, these rates vary from one financial institution to another, but still, they'll still be trading in the range of 20, and probably the difference will be on the Ngwes.
I want that
slide once more.
That slide again.
Elijah, kindly give us the slide.
So that we look at, we analyze it a bit. And so we are looking at 21 kwacha, or this rather 20 kwacha. 20
kwachas you're doing going.
It was at 21 kwacha, going towards 22 kwacha.
Yes.
Now, what has also helped us in this aspect, according to what we have been monitoring through various financial institutions and other economists we have been interacting with, is that Zambia has been hosting the Democracy Summit and other major events. So that has also helped us in terms of us having a little bit of cash and liquidity in terms of us having dollars. So that has also in a way helped to stabilize the kwacha. You saw that we had also the US Vice President in the country, and the US also injected some resources into the Zambian economy through their various
subsidiaries.
Yes. Like one of the aspects is the 16 million US dollar that it will be going towards the fight against corruption,
Indeed.
among other projects which they are supporting. So we are seeing that that has also helped us in terms of having some a little bit of dollars to help us cushion the kwacha. However, this is a temporal measure, and we are aware that the central bank is putting in place long-term and short-term measures to ensure that they arrest this kwacha fluctuating, as well as the aspect of the inflation, which is also critical towards stabilizing the currency. So those are the fundamentals that I wanted us to just look at when we saw that a bit of appreciation.
We did a story yesterday, Patrick. You covered it, where one financial analyst, or is it economist, was on, no, not really, but somebody was talking about the fight against corruption, talking about the money that has been injected into the Zambian economy to help it fight corruption. Let's look at that story.
Yeah, so this is a story where the community action against corruption is disappointed that President Hakainde Hichilema's pronouncement that corruption cases should be completed within 90 days lacks Organization Chief Executive Officer Brighton Tembo urges the government to put in place measures to expedite the dispensation of justice in the country. Mr. Tembo says in order to improve justice dispensation, the Economic and Financial Crimes Court must be expanded. He adds that the competence levels and the number of investigators at the Anti-Corruption Commission must be improved, and that staff at the National Prosecution Authority must be equal to the task.
Let's look at the story, and when we return, we'll discuss it briefly.
The fight against corruption is among priorities under the United Party for National Development, UPND, although it is not without criticism from government critics who have been portraying the fight against corruption as targeted, regional, and ethnic. But President Hakainde Hichilema has been consistent in saying that the fight against corruption is non-selective. And recently, when he addressed the nation through Parliament, he indicated that corruption cases will be ending within 90 days.
Here is the message for you and the nation. Do not call the fight against corruption selective. Do not call it ethnic-based. If you took public money, you did not take it for your ethnic group. You took it for yourself.
However, the community action against corruption is disappointed that President Hakainde Hichilema's pronouncements that corruption cases should be completed within 90 days risks remaining an aspiration if practical measures are not being undertaken to speed up justice delivery. He notes the need for more court infrastructure, as well as enhancing the capacity of investigative wings and improving staffing levels in order to enhance justice dispensation.
For example, we have to, if we are to achieve that, there must be a systematic way of improving competences and the number of investigators at the Anti-Corruption Commission. We have also to expand the Economic and Financial Crimes Court, which is a key institution in disposing of corruption cases. The bureaucracy and red tape at the DPP and National Prosecution Authority must also be removed so that cases can move very fast. But otherwise, if these suggestions are not taken into consideration, then the presidential statement will just remain like another pronouncement in the fight against corruption.
Notably, last week, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris announced a $16 million support for Zambia to fight corruption. One can only hope that the resources will make a greater impact towards strengthening the corruption fight. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
There you have it. That's the story we're zooming in, looking at corruption. There is this good pronouncement by the president that the corruption should be ending within 90 days. But we haven't seen traction on that.
We haven't seen traction on that.
We haven't been informed to say
this is how it's going to be. But that time he was issuing that statement in Parliament, Patrick, he mentioned to say he's going to is it what word did he use? I'm trying to remember. rearrange, for lack of a better term. He's going to start looking at management of investigative wings.
Yes, for now we know that we have the financial and economics crimes court that is dedicated to that. But I had an interview with the Chief Justice recently. He did indicate that they are also still using the same infrastructure of the existing courts. So that tends to also
hinder the whole process.
Yes. So if we also work on court infrastructure, that would help us as a country to be able to expedite the process. In other locations, Sharon, there's little to no court infrastructure, or the infrastructure is dilapidated, so to say.
Meeting in a tent.
Yeah. So now you'd wonder to say, but what is happening? But I know that the judiciary had made some progress sometimes to decentralize, but I think they haven't done much to do that. I think we have a court, for instance, in Chawama, a local court. But we need to make sure that even the magistrate should be standing at community level. You understand that aspect. If these courts can be found within communities, I think cases can be handled within those localities. That would also go a long way towards enhancing justice. And the aspect of limited infrastructure is also hindering this process. So now the financial crimes court has to go into, even at local court level, they have to be handling these cases. You know, the corruption that someone, for example, I bribe you because I need you to give me a place for my son to be enrolled in for school is equivalent to a corruption where a minister steals huge sums of
sin
money.
Is sin.
You understand?
This is sin is
yes,
sin.
Sin is sin. That's what I'm trying to say. So even at local level, we need to make sure that those facilities or those cases are handled. But the only disparity, however, with justice is that those people with more money hardly go behind bars because they are able to afford
to buy their way out.
They are able to buy their time to continue enjoying a time outside the prison. Or so that's another aspect that we need to work on in terms of justice dispensation. We have to make sure that justice is equal to everyone, because justice is a right for everyone. You have a right to behave. You have a right to sue someone. So these rights need to be respected, and they can only be respected if we have adequate structures that support the dispensation of justice in the country.
This reminds me of yesterday's arrest of former president of the U.S., Donald Trump. He was arrested, and after the arrest, he went home to his private jet. Exactly. You know, so that goes to show how probably swift their laws are in terms of securing. Is it what do you call it? Bond. Exactly. They are very fast, because he didn't even spend any time anywhere. You know, he was just from the courtroom straight home.
They were already working on
those things, because obviously they had intel to say this man is going to be arrested. So talking about justice, I think we need to do a lot of things that will ensure that justice is fair. You know, justice delayed is justice denied, like they say, because when a matter probably was just supposed to be done in 2-3 months, they give you judgment, maybe judgment of 3 months, you find that you spend 2 years, 3 years behind bars. You know, when your case was supposed to be heard and you were supposed to be judged and maybe sentenced to 1 year, you will have spent 3 years. That's a lot of time that they have wasted on your part as an individual, you know. So there's need for a lot of things to be put in place to ensure that justice is served as soon as it can be. Of course, the president's ambitions are valid. They're okay. Everyone else wishes for that, but they are too much. They are too ambitious, because things have not yet been put in place.
Yeah,
but we hope that
you know, when we talk about that, we know already we have cases that started immediately the UPND administration went into office. Yeah. But up to now,
we're still looking at these cases. The only cases that I'm very sure about that I've done, Patrick, is where President's communication specialist, Clayson Hamasaka, has been, the court has ruled in his favor, you know, and we are yet to see if at all the court will rule in favor of Minister of Transport and Logistics, where he's also demanding that government pays him for some form of illegal arrest at some point, you know. So we are yet to see. We are following closely, and these also determine, Patrick, how fair justice is, because there's so many cases around. You find that somebody just comes because they are in authority, because they've got that symbol of authority. Their cases are done and disposed of as soon as they can be. Then they remain with people that literally have no coins in their wallets to be checking to the court. It's a long process, Patrick. When we go to pick Miriam at the court, you find that people that are poverty-stricken, looking, for lack of a better term, I'm not judging people, please bear with me. This is what I see with my eyes. You know, people that seem to come from far-flung areas. Even the way they are looking, they are walking to come to the magistrate court. They are sitting outside waiting for all these long processes. You can tell, and these corrupt individuals who are facing corruption allegation judges packed a lot of beautiful cards. So yeah.
Sharon, Zambians are taking on an offense in the fight against corruption. Because you do. There are some clauses that protect people to say, because I'm handing over whatever I got, so do not prosecute me.
Do not prosecute me.
So, now you see this person.
I doubt that applies to individual situations where I steal for you maybe 10,000 kwacha, and then you take me to court. I will be jailed. I will not be given an opportunity to return the money to you.
No, so,
I will not.
So these people with money, they will always find a way to go past the law and make sure that they utilize each and every clause they can in their favor. You understand?
Yeah. Let's pick this call and talk to our caller. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Camnet.
How are you?
The voice of Munari.
Fantastic.
Good morning.
Good morning, the voice of Munari.
I'm very fine now.
Talk to us.
Thank you so much. Corruption.
Yes.
The rest of it is excellent. I try to make you protest against very serious about looking at corruption. What was actually taken to the street to the time and people like this? And the former approach of total regime of the year. And however, I must actually complain and substantiate this point what I to say. It actually said it's not a corruption only within 90 days. But for me, I think that one cannot be achieved simply because the man is at the helm of the country's leadership. The president is too soft with those stuff. We are the same people who are privileged to root out corruption. The same people who are working as the anti-corruption officers. Very, very corrupt. Very corrupt. We still have some legacy. We still have some state prosecutors who are very corrupt. I'll give an example why I say that the anti-corruption commission officers are very corrupt. Even when the director, former director, now the DCP, give a clear. There was a case to do with the Federal National Council of Zambia, where there is a man about the Harold Band, not fear of paper, and I've had that one of the experts. We took the matter to the HCA. The deputy was 6 months, because there was a bill for that belonged to JC. That was donated to do the campaign by the bill. That therefore knocked down. They took it to a certain focus what it does. And they looked at the price which they take was that view. Very, very important. Within 1 week, the paper again got knocked down. So the matter was taken there. That man was the complainant. Even before he left the 3 kilometers, he took a call from the state of Kenya and reported that I know what you are doing here at the Anti-Corruption Commission. And for me, we are still paper. The one in charge of this Anti-Corruption Commission, it needs to be reported there. Well, that is the first person who has after the school to Abanda here. So now, this issue of corruption, some of those people are be aware. They going by the ideology of manifesto of the former party government here. They just put all the strategic positions they are given to one to Canada. Go and see what is happening in one step. Go and see what is happening at the other end. Go and see what is actually happening in police, but I'm happy that I think completely destructive that is happening here. So somebody that are supposed to want to tell people like Antonio Mazan, they know this just before killing. They know that man, he thought he probably the Let us approach the fight against corruption. President means what? You do the stuff. We are not the ones that please. I thank you, Professor. I thank you, Charles, for that.
All right, thank you so much.
That's the voice of
Nali.
giving us his perspective.
But voice of Nali needs to bring us some cobs. He was busy farming the past 2 months.
Yeah, he has been farming.
He's been in Southern Province, so he needs to bring us some cobs here. Delivery.
I know with this appetite of yours.
With corn.
With corn. Yeah, so I think the voice of Nali is listening to us now. He needs to make sure that the corn comes.
You know, I was almost coming with one. In the morning, I was like, no, Patrick Soko will actually tell me, madam, this is too much.
It's too much, yeah. Yeah, so no, we know that the boss of Manali is farming there, but
exactly, so please, Mr. Shinza, we want that corn to be delivered, special delivery. Yeah. Indeed, Patrick, talking about corruption, he has first-hand experience, and he's put his perspective very clear.
I cannot agree with him more
or less.
The things is, you know, it's a structural process. So if the system remains the same and the policy is there, nothing can
change.
So you find that the president makes this pronouncement. It ends just as a pronouncement.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the modalities, are we seeing, for instance, those under the president coming out to give us an update on the policy pronouncement is made to say he wants cases to be done within 3 months? They are not coming out. One, I expect, for instance, the Minister of Justice to come out and tell us what modalities they are putting in place in terms
the ministry, the Anti-Corruption Commission, Drug Enforcement Commission,
DEC, and the Ministry of Home Affairs should also come out to say, us on our part, we want to make sure when we do ABCD, it is easier for others to pick it up from there. We complement each other. Now, we are not seeing any.
You are just quiet.
Anyway, they are quiet. Even if you are working in the background, Zambians should know what you are doing, because
a public office.
At the end of the day, whatever the president says is policy. It cannot be substituted. It is policy. So those policies will be saying policies unfulfilled. If the year ends and you do not make progress, we'll say a policy pronounced, a policy unfulfilled. Yeah, that's about.
Wow. Therefore, we should ensure that we inform us. We are the public, and these are public institutions. No wonder they're called public institutions. You know, the Anti-Corruption Commission, the Drug Enforcement Commission. How are you working with the Financial Intelligence Center to curtail these money-related issues? You know, to do with corruption. We are not going to be waiting for your processes to take more than that, because when our investigation we the whole 9 months, 90 days will have elapsed.
You say the way it is unfair is that most people are ignorant of the law. So sometimes when you are arrested, you may be a remandee for 3 years.
For 3 years, exactly.
Before you go to court.
Before you go to court.
Now you have already been
judged.
You
have already been judged before you pass through the proper judicial system.
So by the time your case is coming, you would have saved 5 years.
Exactly. Let's pick this call and talk to one of our viewers. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Okay. So the line is not very clear. You can still try to call us and have a conversation with us on some of the topics that we've just run this morning. We are talking about the issue of fighting corruption, where one of the chief executive officer for an organization that fights corruption says the 90-day threshold that President Hakainde Hichilema has given to say these corruption cases should be dealt with within this period is unattainable, looking at the many things that need to be put in place in the country's judicial system. Patrick talked about the issue of infrastructure, talked about and infrastructure is not actually a building only. I think that's where we miss it. When you talk about infrastructure, we only think about buildings. But there are many things in place that need to be put in place. Also, you know,
I remember that there's also another aspect of digitizing the court process. I had spoken to the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice did indicate to say, this is where we are going. He acknowledged that, say, the judiciary has lagged behind compared to other
countries
governments.
and even just other countries.
If you see the legislature, Parliament is ahead. If you look at that, Parliament is ahead, and most of the processes are digital. Even as the media, we don't struggle a lot. When we want to follow the Parliament proceedings, we go on their website. We check on the order paper. We are aware of what they are doing, what is happening. The court has to do the same. If there are cases that are coming before the courts, they have to be updated on their website. We have to say, okay, today we are looking at court what, and we also acknowledge that important aspect of making sure that some cases can be televised because
cases of national interest, yes, like the story. I always refer to the story of the 13 abducted females, as women or girls, Patrick. However you may wish to call them, but I think that story took the country to storm. It shocked us, and people want to know exactly what is happening because they may not be able to follow a news bulletin that will cover one of those updated stories. Like the day before yesterday, we had a story where these two people accused of abducting the females are supposed to undergo mental checkups, you know. But people may not have the time to follow. But if at all that procedure is being beamed live throughout, trust me, people will be glued to their television screens and they'll understand what is the point of
the important role the judiciary plays in the governance system.
Exactly. We may not have the judicial television, we may not have High Court TV or something like that, but we can use the already existing TV stations such as TV3. What is it doing?
Exactly.
What is it doing? If it's a matter of national interest, it's a matter of public importance, you can beam it there because really we want to know, we want to follow whatever is happening. And there was also that rumor of these people, one of them escaping from prison, Patrick, until it was covered by one of our tabloids in the country, you know. They investigated and they brought out the issue because they're taking way too long.
Yeah, and again, that's also highlights the importance of the media because that issue wouldn't have come out on, in the open if the media did not broadcast a report on that story.
Exactly. Let's pick this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Thank you, sir. This is
Emmanuel Mwape. You're calling from?
From Quito.
From Quito. Okay, kindly speak up. Your line is not very clear.
I'm saying this is Emmanuel from Quito.
Yes, we picked that. You can go ahead with your contribution.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to appeal to the president when he was told to in 19 judges of the ambassadors, where he gave the judges to put up the back of the door that he taken long for more than 8 years, but just one again. You know, this is something that gives to government. We are about the president finding out wrong and working with the justice to make sure that they put up the cases. And also there is the justice in open cases, which is also both beyond 2 years for them. You know, in this country, we hear judges like the battle of ethics in control. Thank you very much.
All right, Kit, we're there representing. You too can have your say
Yeah.
on this important story. I think it has taken center stage among the stories that we've run this morning. So you can comment. The 90-day threshold that President Hakainde Hichilema has directed the judiciary to actually dispose of, is it corruption cases?
Exactly.
Exactly, corruption cases. Is it attainable? What do you think is the best way to achieve this? Because it's a policy, like you mentioned, it's been given. It's a policy directive. Do this within this period. But then other people charged with the responsibility in these offices are able to do that within the period that have been given. It's not true. It's not to do everything. We are not realistic. But always say they can do it as at now, or maybe they need mindset shift, because I think the bomber syndrome is everywhere, Patrick. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
So, that's why we're saying we change the way of doing things. And the president is on record saying, don't get accustomed to say, this is how I've been doing it.
Yes, this is how we've been doing it.
So at the end of the day, you fail to change.
Exactly.
You become
Bridget, let's pick this call. Hello, good morning. Good morning, thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Kindly speak up. Tata. Reverend Musumali. Line yenu ili kofent panono shukuru tumalan shakso panono. You can go ahead with your contribution. Mula tumina kuisa tata. Mwachanda tumula tumina kuisa. Kundola ishi nakti matola ko once more. Ishi nakti banani. Bayoram. Okay. Patotelam kwai. Thank you so much. All right, it's a countrywide complaint, I must say.
Yeah, these are issues that affect people.
So, yeah, two people from Commonwealth having the same complaint. Patrick, you find it very hard to understand Bemba, but the man there was actually saying, Landa. You know, but to speak is a challenge anyways. So yeah, he's basically talking about the slow pace at which these cases are being disposed, especially for the poor, people who don't have money, people who don't have legal representation. You know, they're depending on these government lawyers that are on pro bono, and they may have a number of cases on their list.
So in way, case here is up next week. Next week, next month. You
find that
instead, your mother's been at the judge. No, the judge is not around. You know, all those things. Another people also mentioned that in Zambia we fear judges too much. And the president also said that, you remember? He said, no, nobody's above there, whether you're a judge
or not.
And we've seen people now who are magistrates, who are judges now, are now being paraded before the same courts.
Before the same courts.
You know. So at the end of the day, we are all human. Even the judges do make mistakes. But
and a lot of mistakes, not to judge them, but they feel they understand the law and they can manipulate it.
They're making mistakes. But there's always time for everything. That's why we have to always make sure that we are always on the right side of the road. But let's also look at another story, Sharon, on where the United Party for National Development, UPND, Deputy Secretary General Gertrude Menda says that the law will soon catch up with the opposition political party members in the habit of committing defamation slander in the name of freedom of expression. Speaking to Camnet News, Ms. Imenda states that many opposition political parties have developed the trend of abusing the freedom of expression and have begun infringing on other people's rights. Let's get her to zoom in this story.
Okay.
So I don't know what Sabwe is talking about. And she's calling it an archaic law. Is it us who put it there? It has always been there. When it suited the opposition when they were ruling, it was okay. Now that there is a new government and we follow the law, we are following the law. It says it is archaic law. It may be archaic, but it has been there. And when you break the law, regardless of whether it's archaic or not, it is, you have to face the music. If you don't want it, take it to Parliament and repeal it. That's all I can do. But for as long as it is in the statute books, sorry, it is the law. And if you break it, you are supposed to be taken to court. You are supposed to be arrested. And that's it. And accusing President Hakainde of, and she was even talking at a certain point that whistleblower and all the others saying whistleblower. A whistleblower would have gone to the Anti-Corruption Commission and say, look, I suspect there's this and this. That's a whistleblower who goes and causes to publish, especially when it affects the rights of other people. It defames other people. That's not a whistleblower. That has got malice, has got malice in it.
Zambia's Ministry of Agriculture has for long been deemed as one area that is not being fully leveraged, despite its potential to bring huge revenue to the country and bring about desired economic benefits, as well as mass employment creation. Key areas of this sector, such as cotton and coffee, have not been performing well over the last 10 years, with production having massively reduced, according to the Zambian Ministry of Agriculture. Minister of Agriculture Ruben Piri has therefore called on boards responsible for various institutions in the agriculture sector to be proactive and ensure that the country gains its rightful place through excelling in the agriculture sector and creating employment opportunities for youths in the country. He was speaking during the inauguration of board members for 3 boards, namely the Cotton Board of Zambia, the Coffee Board, the Tobacco Board, and the Agriculture Institute of Zambia Tuesday morning, whose mandate will run for 3 years.
We know the obstacles and we know what needs to be done. I therefore put a challenge to you board members to ensure that you turn around the current law status of these 3 subsectors by ensuring that you promulgate policies and regulatory frameworks that facilitate the ease of doing business in order to attract investment in all the 3 cash crops. Be comforted that the Minister of Finance and the President of this country are so pro-agriculture that we have friends in those offices. There should be nothing whatsoever difficult for us to overcome.
Chairpersons have been appointed to the boards, namely Mr. Raymond Pundu to chair the Cotton Board, Dr. Chizumba Shampande to chair the Coffee Board, Mr. Phil Daka to chair the Tobacco Board, and Mr. Jomo Matululu to chair the Agric Institute of Zambia. The Agriculture Minister has urged them to perform to the optimum level with their board members.
Colleagues, the inauguration comes at a time when all the 3 subsectors are going through a difficult time in terms of investments, production, and marketing of the crop. For example, cotton has seen a reduction from 275,000 metric tons in 10 years ago to 21,000 metric tons. I mean, a drop of 254,000 tons. Just dropping like that, disappearing. For tobacco, the highest production figures recorded in the past 10 years is 42 million kilograms. And this figure has been declining over the years. Compared to other neighbors, this figure is too low for us to be happy with.
Within 3 years, the boards are expected to spearhead key changes in the agriculture sector. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The proposed investment of 150 million United States dollars in mining by American billionaires is expected to have socio-economic consequences, including poisoning freshwater borders, endangering surface infrastructure, and massive displacement of peasants from their ancestral land on the Copperbelt, an environmental expert has cautioned. Cobalt Metals has invested 150 million United States dollars in a copper mine and also to develop another mine with several mineral deposits in Zambia. The mining activities in Chililawombe district, Copperbelt province, already have adverse effects on the environment as some of the houses and buildings are beginning to fall due to blast from the already mining activities and exploration works being undertaken.
Up to yaisafika padi nenani stage ifikirepo. So right now tetinkwate impiesha kwebati kutina wamisha na ngushani awe. So if you know kwati it's like nangunga kumaini fiachi tabadisha konga tu patanga tunshi kutuwa mfanenga nda ya shaking afira waisa batidimbi no kupona yala chitashani yala apona.
Pate olo tuledira mumwe bana bakwalesa twalisa apone na abana so tulefwaya ukutwafuirishako so abana umbi akwete 6 years umbi akwete 4 years elo twaise abaponena elo fyashef mabricks fyaisa abaponena elo twaishire fumyapo so abana bali batola kliniki rusalo bakwaliso kwa tabana tapali wacheneke na ngumo.
The venture in which Cobalt Metals is investing is Mingoma mine that has been carrying out underground blasting activities, resulting in buildings such as churches and housing developing cracks while others are falling. Father Justin Chikontre is Kamenza Catholic Parish priest, and he laments how the church buildings have been cracking as a result.
So we have all these cracks, and I'm reliably informed that they are a result of the mining activities. So when there's blasting underground, the tremors come and then the earth moves, and what we have are the cracks like this. And of course this adds to the expense of maintaining the house or the houses in the neighborhood, and also the church, because we rely on donor funds.
Meanwhile, environmentalist and Green Party leader Peter Sinkamba says investments from the American people are inconsiderate of existing activities in their areas of operation. He says the U.S. is far from being a perfect source of investment for Zambia's mining sector, adding that the current government must not repeat its past mistakes.
We have dealt with the American institutions on environmental issues here. To some extent, we were able to achieve quite a lot through those institutions, and to some extent, we were able again to find ourselves entangled in a total mess. I'll give you examples. When we were under stress through the structural adjustment programs of the late 80s into 90s, 2000. There was that HIPIC completion program under the HIPIC schedule, and one of the requirements by Western institutions, what we call the Washington consensus institutions, the World Bank, IMF, was that we needed to privatize mines.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News. Well, there you have it. Those are some of the stories that we ran yesterday. Quite a mouthy discussion, Patrick, if I were to put it, when we look at those 3 stories that we've played. First of all, Deputy Secretary General for the United Party for National Development, Ms. Gertrude Emenda, did do us pay us a visit and a walk-in interview where she warned that all opposition political parties that were members that were involved in corrupt practices will be followed regardless of how much time elapses, where they are. The law will catch up with them. So they should stop complaining about this. No, they're following us. They're following. More arrests are coming.
She was also talking about the aspect of defamation.
Yes.
And the flag defamation of the president. You know, much as we have
freedom. Defamation of the president?
But it is still in the
stages.
Criminal defamation is still there. We have done away with it at a lower level, but criminal defamation is still in the Zambian statutes. So the police can still use that law against you. And we have seen that Muniazuru was equally
arrested yesterday again
for the same charges previously, and he was also charged for tribal for peddling tribalism.
Indeed.
And, you know, I think also there are these politicians. I wonder why they fail to just do their politics in a civil manner. They always try to drag the tribe into it. I don't think it's a good way of conducting politics. Because,
it's not. It's divisive.
I think that, like, when you commit a crime, no, don't drag your ethnic into it. You stop alone. As
an individual, don't drag your family, don't drag your children into it. No, my children, where you should, were they part of your whole scheming, you know, into doing these things. So also we looked at the story from Chilabombe district, that's Cobalt, where the mining activities have actually caused devastating effects, where houses have been cracking, and unexpected investment, Patrick, there is causing worry and more anxiety on the people, you know, that are already experiencing this situation. Now they are looking at another mine that is coming in fresh, and you know, when mine is fresh, meaning there are a lot of activities that will take place. People will be displaced, and people are worried to say, where do we go? You know, these are our farming areas, these are our livelihoods. We surely hope that they will find an amicable solution. Ours is to bring out and highlight the issues, and then authorities mediate with the possible investors that may wish to come in. And it's about 150 million United States dollars investment, Patrick. It's not
an eco mine?
The battery thing.
That's a battery storage.
Yeah. So we are hoping that issues will be resolved. Also, the Minister of Agriculture, Mtolo Piri, a hive of corruption, I must say, where issues to do with tenders of supply of inputs is deemed to be a very corrupt practice. We surely hope that it's going to be free and fair, and the people that are eligible to bid for these supply should do so and should be given the contracts. So these board of directors for these 4 institutions, Patrick, that were ushered into office yesterday, we hope they will ensure that their respective departments or institutions they sit on, in terms of them being board members, are represented well, the law takes its course, things are done fairly, so that each one who is eligible, who is capable, who has the capacity to supply or to tender for different tenders that will be advertised is given the opportunity. This is what we want at the end of the day, creating opportunities. After all, the president says ZESCO should be making money, even if it's a public institution. Something new.
Now we are wondering whether there will be public service at all, because everything will be paid for.
Everything will be paid for.
But whose interest is government safeguarding? I think those are questions we need to be answering as a country, because at the end of the day, government exists to safeguard the interest of the people.
Of the public.
And making sure that things are easy, and putting up institutions that also support the existence of society. And not just society, an equal society where everyone is able to thrive, where everyone has rights and opportunities are easily accessed.
Indeed, Patrick. And we surely hope that these things are beginning to take shape, because it's close to 2 years of the UPND. We have a few years to the election. They should be able to point at what they have done. But if at all the president just keeps making pronouncements, keeps making these policy directives, and they're not being done, they're not being followed. Last year, is it last year or no, the 2022-2023 farming season was chaotic, for lack of a better term. Even people holding high ranking officials in these ministries could not shy away from saying, of course, this farming season has been chaotic. We hope that this time around it will be done smoothly, the farming inputs delivered at the right time to the people, not whereby you're just doing all these cosmetic things, you know, creating impressions as if inputs are being delivered. They were late. Of course, others called it a blessing in disguise, Patrick, where the rains came almost immediately as the farming inputs were delivered. So we don't want that situation. Can things be done at the right time? And also some areas like Western Province and part of Central Province, I've seen stories where Mumbwa District Commissioner was saying they expect a low harvest this year, and also Western Province, the District Commissioner, also talked about the same thing, to say we expect low yields. We are not sure whether it's because of the rains or because of the late distribution of farming inputs.
Interesting. There you have it. This is where we have to call it a day on the Wednesday edition of the Camnet Breakfast with me, Patrick Soko, and Sharon Kalimbula. We'll be back tomorrow with another interesting episode. Tomorrow we assure you to bring a guest who's going to help us discuss these pertinent current affairs bordering on policy and politics. Until when we come tomorrow, this is where we have to say bye-bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Good morning.